Missed anyone? Yep. Archie? Yes.
Yeah, that's
Donny?
yeah, that's Donny. Yeah,
Donny,
Donny Shed?
Archie Donny, aye, the same one.
Shown as Archie. Welcome from Hunterston as well. Is that right? Yeah.
Thank you, yes.
We also have David Wordsworth there from our E-Club. So welcome to you, David, accompanying Fiona. And we've got a few partners from the Seagate members. Good evening to you and welcome to this evening.
did you mention Douglas from Troon?
Yes, he did. Yeah, thank you.
Douglas, yes. So it's
And did you mention Roddy? Hello, Roddy.
Roddy, yes, indeed. Roddy Fraser, one of our honorary members. Yeah. So very good to see you, and hope you'll enjoy the evening. The virtual evening, we've got a few entertainers lined up, artists that have been committed to video clips, and we've also got some live readings from club members. So hopefully you will enjoy our presentation, and I think it's now opportune to pipe in the haggis. Now this is done by Donald Mackenzie. He's a young piper, native to Glasgow, pipe major, and a professional for many years, and he's carried on the family tradition of piping, and even as a young man, he won every available piping award, including a prestigious Mod Gold. He also runs Mackenzie Piping and teaches Highland Piping and Scottish small pipe. He's previously taught at College of Piping in Glasgow. So, Andy, if you'd like to strike up the pipes. And since we only have virtual haggis tonight, I don't know if anyone has some in the background. We're not adverse to a bit of plagiarism, so we're actually going to pinch the rest of the haggis as performed at the Irvine Burns Club. Nothing but the best calibre.
Ready, Ian? Ian, it's you. Ian, unmute yourself. Ian.
Is he way back to Dunbar?
Don't know, but it's...
Sorry, Andy, I thought you were running that.
No, you need to unmute yourself. Right, I thought you wanted to...
I can load it up if you like, but I don't have it loaded.
Right, well, I've got it ready. I don't know if you wanted to do a preamble.
No.
No? Right, okay.
No. Very slickly organised, eh?
Mr. Dixon's not got it quite right.
Hello, I'm David Burns, President of Irvine Burns Club, that has annually celebrated the birth of Robert Burns since the club was formed in 1826. Sadly, there will be no annual celebration this year, as we are in lockdown fighting against the COVID-19 pandemic. But despite that, we wanted to mark Burns's Day, so we invite you to join us in our version of what is at the very heart of every Burns supper, which is simply Burns addressed to a haggis. And don't forget to toast the haggis at the end with a wee dram. So let's start with the haggis. Wherefore your honest sonsy face, great chieftain of the pudding race, aboon them all ye take your place, painch, tripe or fair. Wheelie ye worthy o' a grace, as lang as my era.
The groaning trencher there you fill, your hurdies, like a distant hill, your peen would help to mend a mill in time of need, whilst through your pores the dews distill, like amber bead.
His knife, see rustic labour dicht, and cuts ye up with ready slicht, trenching your gushing entrails bricht, a coney ditch, and then, oh, what a glorious sight, one reeking rich.
Then horn for horn they stretch and strive, deal took the hindmost on they drive, till all their wheel swelt kites belive our bent luck drums, and all good man mace light derive, they thank it comes.
Is there that o'er his French ragout, or olio that would staw a sou, or fricassee that would whack a spew wi' perfect scunner, looks down wi' sneer and scorn for view, on stick a dinner.
Poor devil, see him o'er his trash, as feckless as a withered rash, his spinel shank a good whiplash, his knee a knit, through bloody flood or field to dash, oh how unfit.
But, mark the rustic, haggis fed, the trembling earth resounds his tread, clapped in his wally knee a blade, he'll mak it wisp, in legs, in arms, in heats, he'll sned like taps the thistle.
He purrs hallmark mankind to your care, and dish them out their bill of fare. All Scotland wants nae skinking wear that joups in luggies. But if ye wish her grateful prayer, gie her a haggis.
Right.
Right. Cheers.
Haggis.
Haggis.
And everyone have a
Haggis.
Haggis.
Haggis. What? Can't hear you.
Well done there, Andy.
No, I was just saying you toast the haggis. That was all.
Yes, we had a wee toast there. And I think now we're calling upon Fiona in the Selkirk Grace.
Well, good evening, everybody. I am going to do a very short preamble because I wanted to find out more myself, so I thought I'd just pass this on. In 1794, Robert Burns was touring East Galloway in what you'd call a mini break on horseback with his lawyer friend from Dumfries called John Syme, and they stayed at Kirkcudbright. And they were invited to visit the Earl of Selkirk, who was the Lord Lieutenant of the Stewartry, probably because Burns had met the Earl's son, Lord Dare, at Cochrane a few years before. And it has to be said that Lord Dare died of consumption later that year, so maybe he wasn't well. Anyway, Lord Selkirk's estate Lord Selkirk's estate is, I'm not sure if I'm holding this up right, but there we are. Kirkcudbright's at the top, and he lived on St Mary's Isle, which is a peninsula down into the River Dee. The old statistical account of 1794 describes it, and it sounds like a place which is the epitome of the agricultural improvements. And Ainsley's map, which is what I've just shown you, of 1797, shows that the landscape design was at the height of fashion, and that's the sort of thing that Burns would have seen when he visited. Today, there's only a remnant, but I would say that it is the best place to get your sloes for your sloe gin, which is what I'm drinking tonight. Anyway, Burns was invited to say grace by Selkirk, and he delivered what we would now call Selkirk Grace, but it was then pretty well known as the Covenanters Grace or the Galloway Grace, which is quite apt, given that is where he was. Now, there are several versions of a Selkirk Grace. Sadly, none of them in my grandfather's lovely old book of 1907, which I cherish. And so I'm going to invite you all to join me. You're very welcome to join me and say the version that you know, while I say the version that I know, which goes as follows. Some hae meat and canna eat, and some hae nane but want it. But we hae meat and we can eat. So let the Lord be thanked. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. Well done. Thank you there for Fiona.
Hey.
So, Jimmy Walker installed it.
And someone said Jimmy Walker there?
No.
No. Okay. Moving on the programme, we come to our first reading, and I'm going to do Holy Willie's Prayer. This was actually my first introduction to Burns at the school, where you're given various verses to learn, and by coincidence, I happened to be selected to do Holy Willie's Prayer, and in front of a whole big assembly hall with loads of people. I had my simmet, white simmet, my hair dusted with flour, and my evening wee Willie Winky hat, and of course Campbell sitting there making my way down the assembly hall to take up position in the podium with a big heavy Bible, in which was stuck the poem Holy Willie's Prayer. I dare say that's one of the introductions that many people have to Burns, either to a mouse or the Holy Willie's Prayer, but it was a particular favourite of mine. Now, Holy Willie, he actually was a rather oldish bachelor elder in the parish of Mauchline, and he had a loathing for Hamilton, who was a friend of Burns. Gavin Hamilton was a local lawyer, a landlord, and he collected the stent, the church rent, and administered the collection to the poor relief within the parish. And there was an intense dislike by Willie Fisher. Burns took the opportunity of having a wee poke at Calvinist theory, because he believed that it encouraged hypocrisy. So it's a lovely satirical work on the goings on at the time, and unfortunately for Willie Fisher, the presbytery at Ayr found in Gavin Hamilton's favour, and Willie Fisher never recovered from that. So Burns jotted this down, and it's a wonderful little ode that tells us about all the things that Fisher gets up to. Criticizing everybody else for doing them, and he's doing them himself. O thou that in the heavens doth dwell, wha, as it pleases best thyself, sends ye into heaven and tend to hell, for thy glory, and no for any good or ill I've done before thee. I bless and praise thy matchless might, when thousands thou hast cast left in night. But I am here before thy sight for burns and grace, for gifts and grace, a burning and a shining light to this place. What was I, or my generation, that I should get sick also exaltation? I for deserve most just damnation for broken laws, 6,000 years ere my creation through Adam's cause. When from my mother's womb I fell, thou might hae plunged me into hell, to gnash my gums and weep and wail in burning lakes, where damned devils roar and yell, chained to their stakes. Yet I am here a chosen sample, to show thy grace is great and ample. I'm here a pillar of thy temple, strong as a rock, a guide, a buckler, and example to thy flock. O Lord, thou kens what zeal I bear, when drinkers drink and swearers swear, and singing here and dancing there, and with great and small, for I am keepit by thy fear, free for them all. But yet, O Lord, confess I must, at times I'm fashed with fleshly lust, and sometimes too in worldly trust, while self gets in. But thou remembers we are dust, defiled with sin. O Lord, yestreen thou kens we meg, thy pardon I sincerely beg. O may never a living plague to my dishonour, and I'll never lift a lawless leg upon her. Besides, I further moan of a boy, wi' Lizzie's lass 3 times I trow. But Lord, that Friday I was fou when I came near her, or else thou kens thy servant true would never steer her. Maybe thou let'st this fleshly thorn buffet thy servant's e'en and morn, lest he our proud and high should turn, that he's so gifted. If say, thy hon mun e'en be born, until thou lift it. Lord, bless thy chosen in this place, for here thou hast a chosen race. But God confound their stubborn face and blast their name, or bring thy elders to disgrace and public shame. Lord mine gone Hamilton's deserts, he drinks and swears and plays at church, yet sae many hearts, wi' great and small, wi' God's sin priest and people's hearts he steals a wall. And when he chastened him before, thou kent he was sick a splore, and set the world in a roar, while laughing at us. Curse thou his basket and his store, kale and potatoes. Lord, hear my earnest cry and prayer against that presbytery of air. Thy strong right hand, Lord, make it bear upon their heads. Lord, visit them and dinna spare of their misdeeds. Lord, my God, that guid dumb aching, my very heart and flesh are quaking, to think how we stood sweating and shaking, pish with dread, while he with hanging lip and snaking held up his head. Lord, in thy day of vengeance try him, Lord, visit them who are him and ply him, and pass not in thy mercy by them, nor hear their prayers. But for their people's sake destroy them, dinna spare. But Lord, remember me and mine, with mercies temporal and divine, that I for grace and year may shine, excelled by name, and the glory shall be thine. Amen. Amen.
Things haven't changed much.
Only about prayer. So moving on, we have now a recitation from Alec Blair. Alec, would you like to give us a rendition of To a Mouse?
Indeed, thank you, Hugh. To a Mouse. I had some thought about what to do tonight. Well, luckily, a week ago, I was actually asked to do a wee spot in Ontario to the Kitchener Club there, and did some pieces. I even sang the Silver Tassie, but I won't inflict that on you tonight. But I thought that night I'd finish with this, and the reasoning behind it, I think it's very relevant, particularly the last two verses, to where we are in the world today. So, To a Mouse. Wee sleekit coor and timorous beastie. Oh, what a panic's in thy breastie. The need nae dart I was sae hasty with bicker and brattle. I would be laith to run and chase thee with murder and pattle. I'm truly sorry man's dominion has broken nature's social union, and justifies that ill opinion that makes thee startle at me, thy poor earth-born companion and fellow mortal. I doot nae whiles, but thou may thieve. But what then, poor beastie, thou mun live. A daemon ickle and a thrave's a small request, and I'll get a blessing with a lave, and never missed it. Aye, wee bit hoosey too in ruins, it sully was the winds have strewn, and nothing new to big a new in the fogget green. Aye, and bleak winter new ensuing, baith snell and keen. They saw the fields lay bare and waste, and weary winter coming fast, and to coorie here beneath the blast, they thought to dwell till crash the cruel coulter passed out through thy cell. Thy wee bit heap o' leaves and stibble has cost thee money a weary nibble. Now thou turned out for all thy trouble, a hoose and hold, to thole the winter sleety dribble in Cranrach cold. But Mousey, thou are no alane, and proven foresight may be vain. The best laid schemes of mice and men gang after gley, and lay us noch but grief and pain for promised joy. Still, thou art blessed compared with me. The present only toucheth thee, but och, da backward cast my ee and prospects drear, and forward, though I cannae see, I guess and fear.
Thanks very much there, Alec. Well-travelled you are as well, too. We'll now move on with a session of selection of Burn songs by harpist Janet Annard. Janet's freelance. She is based in Edinburgh, and she began learning the Clarsach and as a school pupil in Aberdeen. She progressed on to the harp and continued her studies with the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama. And after completing an MA Honours degree at music at Aberdeen University, Janet studied harp as a postgraduate student at the Royal Conservatory of Music in The Hague, in Holland. In the past years, Janet has undertaken professional orchestral work and performed at various hotels, stately homes throughout Scotland, including Gleneagles and Dalhousie House Castle. Andy, would you like to initiate?
Yeah.
I think the song she's going to do, My Love Is Like a Red, Red Rose, Banks and Braes, and Caw the Yows. Well done. That was very nice and not too bad with the limitations of internet connections. We move on in the programme, and what we have now is Ian Dixon is going to do an epistle. I'll leave it to Ian to introduce this section.
Good evening, Chairman Hugh, President Hugh, and friends from many different clubs. The epistle I've chosen is the epistle to John Tennant of Glenconner, and I've chosen it because, although it's not one of the most famous epistles, nor one of the most memorable, yet it gives a wonderful insight to the warm bonds of friendship between the Burns and the Tennant families. And I thought that that would suit a Rotary meeting where our bonds of friendship are what matter. So I'm going to share the screen so that you can follow, first of all, my comments on it, and then the words themselves as I go through, as I recite it. So just blow that up to full size. So are you all seeing the screen now, folks?
Yes.
John Tennant of Glenconner, near Ochiltree, was a family friend, and he had been for many years, and he was a witness at Robert's baptism. Burns, in this epistle, asks his eldest son, James, to welcome the friend by whom Burns is sending him 2 books on philosophy. Meanwhile, Burns mentions that he's reading Bunyan, Brown, and Scottish cleric Thomas Boston, his volume prompting a groan at the suffering in this world. Burns then sends his love to old John and to family members, including Webster Charlie, whose grandson became the first Lord Glenconner, and finally to James himself. So, the epistle to John Tennant. Old comrade dear, and brother sinner, how's all the folk about Glenconner? How do ye this blay Eastland wind that's like to blow a body blin? For me, my faculties are frozen, my dearest member nearly doesn't. I've sent you here by John Simpson, philosophers to glimpse on. Smith, that's Adam Smith, with sympathetic feeling, and Reid to common sense appealing. Philosophers have fought and wrangled, and meikle Greek and Latin angled, till with their logic jargon tired, and in the depth of science mired, to common sense they now appeal, what wives and Websters see and feel. But hark ye, friend, I charge you strictly, peruse them and return them quickly. For now I'm grown sae cursed douce, I pray and ponder but the hoose. My shins, my lane, I there sit roasting, perusing Bunyan, Brown and Boston, till by and by, if I hod on, I'll grunt a real gospel groan. And ready I begin to try it, to cast my een up like a pirate, when by the gun she tumbles o'er, flushing and gasping in her gore. Say shortly, you shall see me bright, a burning and a shining light. My heart-warm love to good old Glen, the ace and whale of honest men, when bending down with old grey hairs, beneath the load of years and years, may he who made him still support him, and views beyond the grave comfort him. His worthy family, far and near, God bless them all with grace and gear. My old schoolfellow, Preacher Willie, the manly tar, my mason Billy, and Auchenbay, I wish him joy. If he's a parent, lass or boy, may he be dad and Meg the mother, just 45 years together. And no forgetting Webster Charlie, I'm told he offers very fairly. And Lord, remember singing Sannock, with hail breeks, saxpence and a bannock. And next, my old acquaintance Nancy, since she's fitted to her fancy, and her kind stars he airted till her, I give a good chiel with a pickle siller. My kindest best respects I send it to cousin Kate and sister Janet, Tell them frae me, with cheers be cautious, for faith they'll aiblins fin them fascists. To grant a heart is fairly civil, but to grant a maidenhead's the devil. And lastly, Jamie, for yourself, may guardian angels take a spell and steer you 7 miles south. At first, before you see heaven's glory, may you get mony a merry story, mony a laugh and mony a drink, and I enough of needful clink. Now fare ye well, and joy be with you. For my sake, this I beg it to you. Assist poor Simpson all ye can. You'll find him just an honest man. So I conclude, and quite my chanter. Yours, saint or sinner, Rab the Ranter.
Well done. Well done. Thank you very much, Ian. And all neatly noted. Help people understand some of the bits and bobs. Moving on from Ian, we now have a reading from Billy Dixon. Over to you, Billy.
Thank you very much, President Hugh. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, just by way of introduction, William Burns was the youngest brother of our National Bard, Robert. As an 18-year-old, he was something of a problem and in need of some direction in his life. Robert took him under his wing to help in finding William a job as a saddler's apprentice. William lived with Robert in Nithsdale before being apprenticed to a saddler in Longtown, from where he moved to Newcastle to work with Messrs Walker and Robson. Having subsequently found a position in London as journeyman saddler with William T. Barber, Robert wrote from Ellisland on 10th of February 1790, warning him of the perils of that city, and in particular, the universal vice of bad women. Robert Burns had never himself been to London. Interestingly, William, having announced in April 1789 that he was in love, received a letter from Robert telling him, "I am, you know, a veteran in these campaigns, so let me advise you always to pay particular assiduities and try for intimacy as soon as you feel the first symptoms of passion. This is not only best as making the most of little entertainment, which the sportabilities of distant addresses always gives, but is the best preservative for one's peace. I need not caution you against guilty amours. They are bad everywhere, but in England they are the very devil." The surviving letters between William and Robert clearly demonstrate the concern shown by Robert for the welfare of his younger brother and William's respect for the advice from his brother. From Ellisland on the 10th of February 1790. My dear William, I would have written you sooner, but I have mislaid Mr. Murdoch's letter and cannot for my life lay my hand on it, so I cannot write him for want of a direction. If I find it afterwards, I will write him and enclose it to you in London. Now that you are setting out for that place, put on manly resolve and determine to persevere, and in that case you will less or more be sure of success. One or two things allow me to particularize to you. London swarms with worthless wretches who prey on their fellow creatures' thoughtlessness or inexperience. Be cautious in forming connections with comrades and companions. You can be pretty good company to yourself, and you cannot be too shy of letting anybody know you further than to know you as a saddler. Another caution. I give you great credit for your sobriety with respect to that universal vice, bad women. It is an impulse the hardest to be restrained. But if once a man accustoms himself to gratifications of that impulse, it is then nearly or altogether impossible to restrain it. Whoring is a most ruinous, expensive species of dissipation. His spending a poor fellow's money with which to clothe and support himself nothing. Whoring has 99 chances in 100 to bring a man the most nauseous and excruciating diseases to which human nature is liable. Are disease and an impaired constitution trifling considerations? All this is independent of the criminality of it. Farewell, and God bless you, Robert Burns. Thank you.
Thank you very much, there. One of the lesser known quoted ones.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Billy. I think that completes the program that we had planned, and I would like to do a vote of thanks for the evening. Very unusual having to chair this, and you don't really sense the feelings and the noises coming from the audience, so it's a bit difficult to judge. However, what I would like to do is thank all our guests for being interested enough to actually join with us tonight. And after the conclusion of the meeting, please hang on at the end and we can have a chat and catch up with various things. But in particular, I'd like to thank all the representatives of fellow Rotary clubs that have joined with us, and those from district. Honorary members, that's good, and the partners. And hope Guy managed to pick up enough of the gist of the readings and such like to enjoy them. In particular, the performers tonight. We had the artists recorded, and thanks to them, Donald Mackenzie and Janet Anand. And our plagiarism of the Burns Club address to the Haggis, thanks to all the performers, including Derek, who's with us tonight. The performers that we had enlisted, Alec with his To a Mouse, Ian with his epistle, Billy with his reading from Robert Burns' letter, Fiona for an excellent Selkirk Grace, and inevitably Andy, who in his inimitable style has been organising us all in the background and keeping us all up to date with what we should be doing. So to all of them, I would extend hearty thanks and ask everyone to show their appreciation with a wee bit of applause.
And a vote of thanks to the chair, Hugh, past president of Irvine Burns Club and current president of Seagate Rotary, for chairing the whole evening. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure. The final session that we've got noted is Old Lang Syne.
I'm going to share my screen for that, Hugh. Okay. Right. Give me a minute.
It says singing led by Hugh Hudson, but I don't think you really want to hear my singing.
Oh, you never know.
I know.
Everyone join in.
All acquaintance be forgotten and never brought to mind. Should all acquaintance be forgot and all lang syne, for old lang syne, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness for old lang syne. And here's my trusty and here's and all that we'll take a rhyming weary walk for old lang syne. For old, was that it finished?
For old lang syne, we'll take a cup
of kindness yet for old lang syne.
Well done, Hugh.
Okay, and thanking you. Thanks, Jim. I was hoping you were going to be leading there. And
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. I have to go now.
Yes.
Finish my baking off. But thank you very much. It's been very enjoyable.
Is it scones?